Anybody would like to address that? Come on up, Carl. And just for the record, after you introduce yourself, if you'd let us know if you're here representing the Board of Review or yourself as a citizen, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yep. Carl Andersen, Divide, Colorado. At this time, I'll speak to you as the chairman of the Board of Review.
Thank you.
So, first off, I'd like a little clarification. I thought the adoption of this code was a mandate by the governor's office, not legislative action. Is that true?
I don't believe that is. No, it is.
It's a House bill, Carl. So legislature.
Okay, so it was legislative.
He had to sign. He didn't have to sign it, but he signed it, so it's all three.
Okay. All right. With that being said, as far as from the Board of Review standpoint, I do believe the overlay of a roof should be allowed. I don't think we need to eliminate the allowing of overlays on that. I got some clarification from Roger, our Richard, building official. I'm going to call you Chris next.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
On the plate inspections that they're adding, it's not only going to be a county inspector that's going to be allowed to do that, but an engineer of record on the plans that'll be allowed to do that. Also for foundations, that's in the code to be allowed, that an engineer of record on the foundation will be able, and that was not in the comments that were on the screen, but you guys should know that. And that's important for a couple of reasons. It helps to stop progress on a construction site. If we got concrete trucks coming and we need a rebar inspection and the county inspector can't be there for several hours and the next day, that's a big problem if we got to send concrete trucks back or stop building of walls. Okay, so that's a good thing that came about with this code cycle. I'd like to say, as with the Board of Review, your Board of Review is very dedicated. Bunch of hardworking people that own businesses in the county and work in the construction industry on all different parts of it. And they take this very seriously. One of the discussions we had very early on is, why is the control being taken away from the local board? And that's still a problem today. We never really got an answer. Okay. What's right for one jurisdiction is not necessarily right for another. Our climate, our soil types are specific to our area and needs to be looked at that way. This takes that away. Part of the code was energy efficiency in windows, and it called for a type of window that does not perform up here. Did we get that fixed and changed in it? Yes. But a blanket code does not work. The board feels that they're really honestly wasting their hard-earned volunteer hours. If we have no say in what goes on, then why do we exist? And that's an issue. When you have people that have been on this board for decades, I've been on it more than 10 years, been the chairman a couple of times through that. I believe there's one member that's been on it for 30 years. These are dedicated people in the building industry that have put a lot of hard work into our code and our building department and supporting our building department and what they do, which then supports the residents of Teller County. Our voice was basically squelched with this code adoption. I don't believe in it. I voted against it at the last Board of Review meeting because I think that it should be local control. Thank you for correcting the amount this is going to cost. I think $25,000 is probably on the cheap side. I've heard upwards of 10% increase in the cost to build a house under this new code. We always hear from the governor's office and down, there's no affordable housing in rural Colorado. Well, this is going to make it worse. Your sheriffs, your teachers, your county employees, we're pushing more of them out of the county. Our young people, all the people that work in the local supermarkets, we're pushing them out of the county. When you adopt this today, you just made it harder for them to live here. And that is a real concern. Listening to you gentlemen talk, I know you share my concerns. And if the situation is that a county that has a code adopted needs to adopt this, well, why don't we become a county that doesn't have a code adopted? Unadopt your code today. Unadopt it, and then we don't have to adopt this. Something to think about. So the thumb is only there if you're already under the thumb. That's what we've been told. Now, take off my chairman hat. I'm Carl Andersen, resident of Teller County. My concern is my family. My son, my grandchildren, they're already struggling to live here. Their taxes are going up, their insurance premiums are going up, and the cost to live and build here is going up. And it doesn't just affect new construction. This affects remodels also. And when you affect the price of a new home, you affect those previously built also. If people cannot afford to build a new home, then they're going to be looking in the resale market. Well, competition in the resale market is going to increase the price of those houses also. So now your veterans, your retirees are going to have to spend more money to buy a house here that doesn't necessarily meet this code. Further expands this issue of the cost of this. It's not just new construction. Every house is going to get more expensive in Teller County with the adoption of this code. I have jokingly proposed that I would offer to pay for a blower door test to all three of your houses. If your houses fail, then you got to pay my company to bring your house up to the standards that you're proposing on others. And I propose that to the governor's house also. I'll pay for a blower door test on his home. I believe there was good intentions with pushing this code to try and make houses better and more energy efficient. I believe that's a great intention. But the cost to do so drives people out. And like Mr. Swallow said, code should be a minimum standard, not a premium standard. We're like telling our kids, your first car has to be a Mercedes-Benz. You can't go out and buy a cheaper car. You have to walk wherever you have to go until you can afford that Mercedes. Well, now we're telling people you need to live in a cardboard box until you can afford a house that can meet these codes. That's what we're doing. I'm glad I'm not sitting in your seat today. This is a tough decision, but it's one that's going to hurt the residents of Teller County. It's going to become very expensive. For those, I don't know if you guys were aware, but back, I believe it was June 1st of this year, Colorado had its first energy summit for the state of Colorado. Were you guys invited to it?
The one in Grand Junction?
In Craig, Colorado.
Or in Craig, in the West Slope. Actually, that wasn't the first because I actually went to the one in Greeley's. That was the year before.
Okay.
Didn't go to this
Well,
one.
they announced it as the first energy summit. I happened to be in Craig over Memorial Weekend and heard about it, and they were announcing it as the first energy summit.
Okay.
And
the organizers held a similar one in Greeley the year before,
Okay.
which I did go attend, and then this one just schedule-wise couldn't, but I was aware of it because of the previous activity.
Right. And as far as an industry goes, we're not prepared to adopt this code. We're already struggling for personnel, whether it be inspectors or people working in road and bridge or people constructing homes. We're already struggling. We do not have enough personnel. We can't do these inspections. We don't have the people to do it. We don't have the people for the engineering portion of it to get it done. Doing the blower door test. I volunteered back in April. I got a house just completed. I was going to volunteer to have a blower door test on that house just to see how it worked out. I couldn't get anybody to return my phone calls to do it. So if we're going to mandate that it's going to have to be done, we can't get the people to do it. So are we going to delay COs because we can't get the testing done that's required? That's a real issue. We're going to keep people from getting in their house. They want to close on it, and there's no inspection company available. What are we going to do? This is a deep problem.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the local control.
Yeah, Carl, and to your comments on several items. First off, I think we're in vigorous, as Dan likes to say, violent agreement on a lot of good stuff. One of the things, and I brought it up earlier, and then you brought it up again, which is there's a point where do we go to no codes because it becomes so onerous? And you're saying your personal opinion, yeah, that's today,
right?
And personally, from where we are as to whether that's today or not, what I do know is I don't want to run up a flag to the legislature to let and to be that test county for the legislature to give that enforcement hammer to the Department of Energy to then come back down on us. That being said, the authority of the board, if we approve this tomorrow, we can get rid of codes completely without raising the flag. You know what I'm saying? Is that but I don't want to do that before asking the board of review, asking the planning department, asking our local builders, what would that mean? What would that do? Basically, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Obviously, there's 13 counties. That's why I'm asking the questions. There's 13 counties that currently don't have building codes. So how's that working? And
right.
I've had some of those discussions with Delta County Commissioner, which is why I brought it up, but Don Supas. How's that work? I just want to know how's that work, because we've had building codes for a long time. How's that work for you guys? There's some level of inspection that's going on. How does that work? And so I'm with you, and thank you for the correction. Actually, I was looking at the front page, not all the pages on the increased cost of building, just as I was making my comments. So I had a little mind slip there on the overall cost. Yeah, much greater. I also share with you, my sons live out of state right now. And they haven't come back to Colorado yet, and there's a reason. I look around this room, and Dean, we raised our boys together, and this is an issue, for all of us. Is how do our kids come back here when the legislature's doing this to us? And you're lamenting the lack of local control. Yeah, me too. And you think 2018 is bad? I'm sure you've probably taken a peek at 2021 and realized that our ability, and by the way, first off, for the board of review, your role in going in and amending this, we did have some control in it, not what we want, but we did have some control. But, the discussions that I've had with people around the state is on the 2021. Yeah, there's no amendments to 2021.
Right.
They don't let you have any say on 2021. You don't get to come in and say anything other than what's there. And then at that point, we've lost all local control. There's no need for you guys to review the building code because the legislature is telling us this is your code.
Well, and
right.
This is a step to
they're going to do it with windows that don't work. And the other one was heat pumps. Those work great at 10,000 feet in elevation. Yeah, no, they don't.
No,
but they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread because they work amazing. In Phoenix and and other places that are much lower altitude, but there's a certain point in altitude where just that they don't work anymore. But by golly, they're going to require it. So that's why we need to work on it, and that's something, Carl, I'd be happy to work with you on as well. As we move forward, is to take a look as first off, where are we going? And I do think we need a citizen initiative to kind of take this off of the. Take us away from the legislature. They're taking stuff away from us. We need to take some stuff away from them, which is we need to take away the authority of them to dictate, how we power our homes, how we heat our homes. So we take that away from them. But then also is that we know where the legislature is going because they've already told us it's right here in the 2021 IEC. We know where they're going, and I ain't going there. That's not going to work for here. So what does that mean to us? if between now and then, and I realize there's an immediate impact on the cost of homes, I recognize that. I'm sensitive to it tremendously because of my own family. But as to rejecting and pulling all codes today, there may be, and I'm saying maybe because I don't know, is that in yanking all codes today, and it's something that I've said before, not just today, but actually months and even more than a year ago, where I've asked the question: Do we need these building codes like this because of what the state is doing? So it's on the radar for me personally. I'm not speaking to the board. I'm not even speaking as the chairman. Is that there is a point where, is there a way to weasel out of it? And of course, the trip hammer is, if counties start doing this, we got 13 without building codes, and in 3 years we got 26. What do you think the legislature's got to do? They're going to hammer, right? They're going to do the hammer. Right. So that's why we got to figure out how do we take power away from them and put that power back with the people in regards to how we power our homes, how we build our homes. And part of that we could do today with just saying, you know what, we're just gonna make an amendment to repeal them all. I'm not prepared to do that because I don't have the support that I need from an information standpoint of what does that mean? What are the impacts of that? What does that mean for you guys as builders? But I'm not opposed to the idea because I know where they're going.
All right.
So thanks for your comment.
Carl, what I would add to it is we're all agreeing, right? Every time I go to Walmart and I walk out of there with stuff in my hand because my wife's bag, why we got away with bags, it's the whole thing. Here's what I'd say, and this is a political comment. There's an election cycle which you down in 2026. We've made some inroads with land use. We're going to continue to do it. We all know realistically, and here's to answer your rhetorical question, Eric, they will revoke your state license. That's what the state can do. If you're holding a plumbing license, electrical, they will revoke it. So that's anarchy, right? We can't do that. Adding to what Eric said, you and I both know with code enforcement, some of the folks that aren't respectful like you, that don't follow any codes, that tell us in code enforcement and Jason, our sheriff, I can do whatever I want. This is similar to property rights, right? When you say, I don't need any zoning, don't tell me what to do. And we have to always say, yeah, it's true, Carl, but you and I are neighbors, so we're not, but we're friends. But a 50-foot setback keeps us good neighbors, and it's going to keep our sewage from going into your, so there's reasons for this. So with our hat as life, health, safety, I would say, because we don't have the information, Carl, none of us do, including you, all of us together, with as smart as we are, to do this, and someone dies because they build a house like the one we just shut down. So in the short term, though, I think what we've got to do is we'll educate Senator Baisley. I'll talk to the governor. I think what we're really saying is this is anything beyond this is untenable for rural Colorado. As he's finding out, an affordable house doesn't exist. In the state of Colorado, that's $600,000. It's the same that it is here. In my personal discussions with the governor is, yes, sir, we're paying just what you are in Denver, but we get a third of the wages. So I think everybody's watching the problem and doing this. And the truth is, like Eric said, somewhere between anarchy and too much control. And this is what you get when you have a majority like they have. And so I'm not ragging on anything. I'm just saying it is a horns of a dilemma. Like you said, you wouldn't want to sit here. One day you'll sit here potentially. And I would just say that we can't go to anarchy. We also have to protect your livelihood. And what I would tell you, that's where the state control would come in. DNR would deny the wells. CDPHE wouldn't give the septic systems. Water quality was shut down, everything from the mine to, which is frankly another project that I'm working on to help with the mine now, and you'd lose all licenses issued by the state to include liquor licenses. So, it's kind of rhetorical. I know what you're saying. I'm with you, but it's rhetorical to say, what are they going to do if, that's like asking your dad, what are you going to do if I don't come home with your car by a certain time? You don't have to ask a question, you know it's coming. And Eric was really smart to say, you don't want to be the test case for that. But I do wonder, and I do sit here, and it was news to the governor when I told him that we have almost more than those counties that don't even have land use regulations. So that was my question. And what we try to pass this year is, why don't they have land use regulations? Why do we have it? So there's a fairness thing. But last thing I will say is it really, 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 everything's coming down to a 5-mile swath on I-25 corridor that hasn't even been up here. So, but I just wanted to thank you personally for your personal comments, as well as your board review comments, because we share the same frustration.
Well, and I appreciate your time, and I realize that pendulum swings too far both directions, and neither is good. And I fully support life safety issues that make our homes better and safer for everybody to live here. But they also have to afford it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can't have a house and they're living in the national forest, which we have enough of that going on already. Then what is safe? What is safe?
I think the stuff we were building 15, 20 years ago was plenty safe. But that's just me. Dan, I did have a question. Any other comment at this moment, Carl?
Nope. I appreciate your time, and
Thank you, Carl.
good luck next legislative session.
Yeah, thank you. And again, we might have some minutes coming forward. But Dan, I did have one question. The chat window has a notification on it. I didn't know if our consultant perhaps had responded via chat, or Commissioner Campbell noticed that, I should say. Just to see if
we asked a question and he couldn't respond because we couldn't hear him. I don't know if he responded by chat.
Yeah, it looks like it. He said the legislation only requires the adoption of the energy code when a local jurisdiction adopts a building code. If no code is adopted, the jurisdiction is not required to adopt an energy code. And I think we've covered that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think he was chiming in on that particular.
So Dan, did you just say that for Delta County that doesn't have that, they're not required to do anything today, even with this legislation? Is that